What's going on, guys? I recently did a training on new construction and working with builders exclusively for my community on Facebook. This is just for the agents that have gone through my new agent bootcamp or have participated in any of my programs. So what I want to do is that I want to share with you a small portion of this interview, which is also a training. That way you also get an insight look as to the different type of trainings and people that I bring onto my platform. And at the same time, you can also learn in regards to what we're talking about. So let's get to it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's training. I'm super excited to have a very special guest. So today we're going to be talking about new construction and working with builders. And the very special guest that I have, her name is Marlym Dueñas, and she's out here in Florida. So we're just going to get right to it because get your paper, get your pens ready. There's going to be a lot of great information. So Marlym, welcome to today's training.
Hi, thank you for having me, Loida.
Yes. So for everyone that's tuning in, kind of give us a little bit of your background just so everyone knows maybe how you got into new construction and working with builders and maybe even if you want to share what you're doing now.
Okay, great. Yes. Hi, everyone. So I've been living in South Florida for all of my life, basically. I started in real estate 10 years ago. And about 2 years into real estate, I started working with builders. My first builder was D.R. Horton, which is a national builder. They're known as one of the largest builders alongside Lennar. And it was a great experience working with them. And then from there on, I worked with several other builders here in Southeast Florida. Right now, I am doing project management, property management, and I lead commercial projects here in West Palm Beach.
Awesome. Awesome. So I know that we have a lot of questions. You guys in the Facebook group have been posting it throughout the week. And as you're watching us, if there's anything else that comes to mind, make sure that you drop it in the comments of this live because we can see it and we will be making sure to cover it. So let's start with the first one. How do builders pick what agents they want to work with? So this is, for example, I'm driving by, I see some construction workers, there's a piece of land, they're maybe doing 2 or 3 homes. What is the approach that we can take as agents, or how do we know if they're already working with an agent or not?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So for the smaller builders, you're going to see some kind of signs, contact information. Typically, even if they're small, they do have an in-house rep, what is known as an in-house representative. They're also realtors or they could be brokers. They're licensed because they have to be as per the state. And you will already have either a contact information or you will see some kind of office or a mobile home office in the area where the subdivision is going to be built. So if you don't see that, then they may be outside of that location, but there's typically going to be someone there. I recommend that you call, search online, and see who they're working with or if they have a representative. They take outside realtors no matter what. They want your business. So they're open to working with you. And they'll typically guide you to the person that is in charge of the sales. So that's more or less how you will know. So look out for the contact, research them online, and make a connection with them. Introduce yourself, say what area you work in, if it's in that particular area, and make a connection. Always say who you're working with, your brokerage, and they're going to ask you what information you're looking for and say you're looking for your client, basically.
Okay. Is there anything specifically that maybe those smaller builders are looking for in an agent that perhaps they want to partner up with to have them sell those properties in case they don't have anybody?
Yeah, they always, like I said, they always want your business. They want to partner with you. They want you to bring them leads. They want to connect with you. They want you to follow them and probably fill out a questionnaire online. So they'll guide you to their website and put in your information so you can get information sent to your email of what's the status of the construction of the actual, what's going on, when is the groundbreaking event, when are opening dates, if it's very early into the construction or later on. But typically, they're not really looking to choose anyone. They want to work with all of you guys. So knock on those doors, introduce yourself, take a day out of your time and go introduce yourself to all of the builders, small or big.
Okay, awesome. So I know that you also mentioned when you first started, you started with DR Horton, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So how did you get into working with them and what other opportunities did that lead to?
Yeah, so it was funny. I was working with Coldwell Banker at the time with a luxury team, and I happened to get a notification in my email to apply. I applied, and the area sales manager called me. I went to an interview, and they liked my resume and my outgoing personality at that time, and I got offered the position. So since you have to be licensed, of course, they typically want you to have 1 or 2 years experience selling real estate, either to buyers or representing sellers. And then, that's how I got started. I got offered a position. That was in Homestead, Florida.
Okay. And then from there, you've also worked with some other big companies as well, right?
Yes, yes.
You've already worked with so many other different big
Oh,
companies. So
yes,
like
yes, yes.
DR Horton, right? So
Yes,
yeah. So what other companies have you worked with? And is it pretty similar, the process and all of that?
yes, that's correct. So I've worked with boutique builders and mass builders like DR Horton, what we know is a mass builder. Outside as a sales rep, I've worked with Lennar. So I've worked with Luxcom as well, which is a smaller builder, more of like a boutique builder, semi-custom homes. And I worked for Mattamy Homes here in West Palm Beach, Florida, also a big builder like Lennar. So, but outside, when I was not an on inside sales rep, I was working alongside them. So I was bringing buyer leads, I was closing people just as a regular agent. So I have relationships with many of them.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, next question. What are some things that agents do wrong? So, obviously, you have worked in house for these
Yeah.
big builders. I
Yes.
know from my experience and even working with agents, sometimes we have buyers and they're like, oh, you know what, Loida, I'm interested in this new construction house. Come over with me. We go and it's like a completely different experience. So, what are some things that we as agents need to be aware of when we do decide to work with, new construction?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So think about it. They're there. They're just like you. They're salespeople. They're licensed as well, and they are ready to sell. So it could be a very competitive situation when you go in. I can tell you one thing that agents do wrong is that they don't show up on time, or they don't show up with their client, or they send them off, or as soon as they hear that they're interested in a new construction community, they don't do the due diligence and show up and connect with the builder before. And then the problem with that is that they get cut off or cut out of their commission, because if your client shows up on their own and they're not registered or pre-registered with you, or you haven't done your due diligence, there's a 90-day waiting period before you can sell to that client and register under your name. So I can see that that was a big issue for the agents. And I would say, you know what, if you would have shown up, connected with me, I would have registered the client with you, and you wouldn't have been, gotten left out of the deal. So show up, do your research. To, like I said, take a day to connect with the builders and form those relationships with them, so they know who you are, what brokerage you represent, if you're in a team. And another thing that I know that they do wrong is that my experience is not necessarily doing it wrong, but it's just a little bit of a lack of experience working with builders. When you show up to a sales center, they're trained to go, 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 go fast. They're pitching to you and they're selling. And they want to be able to go through their whole spiel, the whole presentation. So they don't want a lot of interruptions. They want you to kind of step back and they take the lead. And then at some point they'll start bringing you into the conversation, and then you start structuring the deal as they go. A lot of the times I will notice agents going into the sales center and they want to take the lead, but then they don't have necessary information. And like I said, all the builders work different. So just because you visit Lennar sales center, when you go to Pulte de Vasta, you're not gonna have, it might not be the same scheme of what they have. So let the sales agent on site take the lead. And at a certain point, they'll start bringing you into the conversation so that you can, make sure that you get the deal structure correctly. Obviously, you don't want to do a lot of talking, but you don't want to talk too little.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Okay, awesome. And for you that are watching right now in the Facebook group, if you're enjoying this training, let us know. Drop us a comment, drop us a question too if you have it. This is great that you're sharing this information, because I think, especially for newer agents, that's something
Yes.
that they may not do. They may send their buyer off to new construction, but you need to sign them in order to
Yeah.
get credit and get paid. Otherwise, I mean, they don't really care, right? It's like, well, you didn't sign them up, you're not going to get paid type of thing.
Yeah, then you have to go through management, and the sales manager will determine to see if they can bring you into the deal or not. But it's very difficult. Some don't let you register prior. Some you have to register within 24 hours. You can't, or they require you to show up with them on site. So if that's the case, call the sales center, say, I have a client that's interested. We're looking at so and so model, so and so, or this is what my client needs. Let them say what they have to offer for your client needs, and then say, well, I plan to go on this day. Make an appointment and give them your client's name and say, hey, if my client so and so happens to show up, because sometimes they wander around, make sure that you can go back to this email and see that they're attached to my name, even though I cannot register them. But at least if you hear this name, it comes from me. That's a good tip.
Yes, because I think that's also a fear that a lot of agents have.
Yes.
Sending their clients thinking that, these sales reps at the offices, they're just going to take my client and I'm not going to get paid type of thing.
Yeah, no, they're not in the business to doing that. The massive builders have allocated the money yearly to distribute commissions to realtors. Whether they do it or not, it's a quota that's there for the builders. So they're not in the business of cutting you out. But if they can, hey,
it happens. Okay.
It could be done. Yes.
So the next question, and also regards to this, does the buyer have to use a builder's lender? Because we hear that all the time. Because you might get credits if you use our lender, or they might make you use them. So how does that work?
Well, no, they're not required. Most builders do not require you to use the lender, but there is the massive builders have title companies, lenders, and the whole team working with them. It's in their best interest to control the deal. So they want to do it all. They want you to register the client, sign the purchase agreement, and let them take over. Okay. And then you're just following up, doing your touches throughout the whole deal, which sometimes can take 6, 7, 12 months, depending, right? The lenders give a lender credit for using that because they get to control. And since it's all in-house, that's what we call it in the business, in-house, they give you a credit for using that. Okay. And they know how the builders work. It's easier for them to control. It's basically controlling the transaction. Title company that it's attached to the builder or is part of the team, also, they give you a credit. Might be $2,500 at closing. It's all plugged into the numbers. So it's recommended. And typically when I used to take my clients, I will let them run the whole show. It's the best way, really. Yes.
Okay.
But you're not obligated, no. But the purchase agreement will tell you if you are or not. And the on-site sales team will tell you if you are required. Typically, the lender is required the title company, no. But from what I've seen in the business 10 years, you're not required to use the lender, no.
Okay. So what is the role then of a buyer's agent if, let's say, I have a buyer, they decide to go to new construction? Because this even happened recently with one of our team members. And he's like, I don't think I'm supposed to do anything, but I'm going to get paid. But do I need to check in? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Yes. What we know in the business and new construction is when you bring a buyer, since you've already done the work to get the business, pretty much sit back and follow up, put all your timelines, connect with the builder, do a touch on every week or every 2 weeks, depending on the stage of the building process. And you already did the work. You took them the client. Basically, they want you to kind of sit back and let them lead and get paid. But I don't recommend that you abandon your clients, or of course we're not doing that, but I don't recommend that you don't follow up with them. Stay in touch with the lender, get all your information and get everything plugged into your CRM and make sure you're following up always. But it's way less to do than a regular buyer's transaction. Way less.
Yeah, especially if you guys are taking care of everything and we don't really have to do anything, because it sounds like you're just happy that we brought you the client and now it's just about closing.
Yeah, now it's just about party time.
Nice.
No, yeah, we're doing the whole deal. We're writing the purchase agreement, we're closing, we're the lender's rep is going to do the whole transaction, title company, everybody's going to work to close this deal. So yeah, you already did the work.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next question is there room to negotiate on new builds? Like, do we ask or how does that work?
Yeah. So going back on what I said, when you go into the sales center and you introduce yourself and your client is not with you, let's just say you're doing that due diligence. That's a good opportunity, whether you're calling or walking in, to find out what are the lot premiums, meaning what are they charging for the lot. It's very common for the builders to charge for the lot, and then for the building of the construction of the home, extras. What are the packages that you're getting for paint, carpet, like what are the packages involved, and then what room do you have to negotiate. Typically there's a lot of room when the communities are just starting out because they want to do a lot of business and they're willing to give a lot more out. When the community is already at the ending stages or closing out, right before the closing out period, there's not that much room. If they're closing out the community and there's a couple of lots left, they might give the agents higher commission, they might throw in, the package, they might, depending on the stage of construction. So there's a lot of variables there. There's always room to negotiate. We know that from being the salespeople. There's always room to negotiate. They want to negotiate with you. They want to give you 4 or 5% commission if they can. I've even gotten 6% commission, both when I'm out selling, and bonuses. So I've gotten 6% commissions, and they typically do bonuses. Now I'm going to give you guys a tip. But most builders, the end of the fiscal year is a big time for them to get the money in. That's typically, like, let's say, I think DR Horton and Lennar run it in November. So end of the fiscal year, they want all their lots secured. They're giving out high percent commissions. If you run a team like you, Loida, they're doing breakfasts for you. They're hosting events. They want your business and they want to cater to you guys because you guys are bringing them that business. So right now, during the pandemic, they had 2 or 3 years of high elevation sales that were not cooperating so much with us realtors. They're coming around right now, and you're going to see more of those high percentages being paid out to us. Bonuses, events. I've seen cruises. They offer it all. So
Wow.
negotiate with them, go in when your client is not there, so you don't make it uncomfortable for them. Ask a lot of questions and say, what room do we have for negotiation? What is the commission on this lot? Another tip is different lots have different promotions, what they call. So say if I bring you a buyer for this lot, what is the commission on this lot? Is it the same as the one, 3 months down the line? Or always ask a lot of questions. They like that. They like to see you involved. But when you have your client on the floor there, let them lead and kind of step back.
Okay. Wow. So you've got 5 and 6% commission because you've
Yes.
been able to negotiate.
Yeah. I purchased my house from Lennar. And I basically bought it for like $2,800, a new construction townhome here. Because I wasn't working on site with them, but I would bring them a lot of business in Miami. I negotiated for 1%, $1,000 bonus for Easter. Okay, that's a good tip for you guys. Also, go on holidays. On holidays,
Okay.
they like to sell to your clients. Remember, sales floor is always open typically from 9 to 6. And they're ready to make deals. These agents, they make a lot of money when they're selling new construction in-house for them, and they're making bonuses, they're making all of these things they want to sell. So go on special days, go when it's raining. We would love to see people come in the rain because we know that we were going to get a deal closed, and they're serious
Nice.
buyers. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
All of this is so great information that, I don't think I've ever seen a training where someone explains it. So I really appreciate that you're doing
Oh,
this
no
for us.
problem.
So
It's
if
my
you're
pleasure.
watching this, yeah, I mean, you guys are lucky that Marlym agreed to this because I feel like this is like, you're not going to get this somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the raw, real deal
Yeah,
of many,
yes.
many years of doing this work. Yes.
This is awesome.
No
So the next
problem.
question that I've got is, can an outside agent host an open house on a new construction?
This is a really good question. You guys had great questions. So I remember again, I started 10 years ago. This was very common. DR Horton did used to cooperate for this, especially down south. So when the model homes, you won't do the open houses in the model home, but they will give you a house that's already built. A spec home is what we call it in real estate, spec home in new construction. And they will give you this house completely done. and you will be able to put your signage. Now, I know Lennar is not as friendly, and other builders kind of shy away from that because they don't want if something happens to you or anyone there, they don't want it to be your responsibility. But check them out. What I will say is, if you see a project that is already 50% complete or in that stage, go into the sales center and introduce yourself and say, is it a possibility for me to host an open house in one of your spec homes? Say that in spec homes, and they will say, well, yes, or we're not doing it at this time. And typically what happens is sometimes they're not too friendly with this idea because of the responsibility if something might happen to you, and because they see that they don't need the business in that area, in that community, where they want to take in the walk-ins. And they don't want to kind of share so much, and they don't want to give it to you so easy. So they think that if you're there, then they will stop first to see you and not see the sales center, and then they won't go through that revolving situation. So if that happens, what I will say is, you're not responsible. I can bring you a letter from my broker, whatever the case may be, or my team lead, or my company runs this way. And if I see someone that did not stop at the sales center, I'll send them over to you, or I will guide them to you first, so you will get the credit. And then if they happen to come to me, then at that point, they've already touched base with you first. How does that sound? I will say it like that.
Okay.
And then they typically like that because you send them off first. And you just say, I'll just hand them my business card when they come around.
Okay. So then let's say if I'm hosting an open house, can I have them also check in with me and put their name? Okay. And then, go ahead.
Yeah. Typically, that it's allowed. Yeah.
And then that list, would I have to provide it now to the sales office so that they know, or can I just keep that?
Typically, no. I never required them, so I would just keep an eye that they will send the business my way first. If I were very busy, it's hard for you to notice that, honestly. And I would just make sure that they go and tell me when they're in the property and when they're out. If I would have to give them a key, if it wasn't a touch key, then they'll return the key to me of the spec home. But no further follow-up or anything like that.
Okay. Because that's a question I recently had from someone in here, where I think she hosted an open house in a new construction place. And the question was, what if someone that came in through my open house ends up also wanting to purchase the new construction? Is it now like the sales reps that are in charge, or would she even make any type of commission because they came to her first? Or how does that work? Is it tricky?
It's a little bit tricky. It's up to them. It's really up to them and to the sales manager. Some are more strict, some are not. Me, myself, I was very lenient. Like I said, I knew the builder had money allocated to pay out these commissions, and I needed the help. Sometimes it was just 2 people for 280 homes, 2 sales reps. So if the agent will come very regularly and help us out, I wouldn't put too much mind to it. Yeah, I would just say, bring me the business, or I would tell them, hey, coach them on these lots. These are the specific lots. These are the keys for these lots. And they kind of helped me out. Again, it's very tricky. The friendliest I saw in my experience was DR Horton, but I had a real cool sales manager, and she let me do it all.
Okay. Well, it sounds like at the end of the day, as long as an agent is trying to build some type of relationship with the sales team and the sales manager, that's what's really important for them to have a good thing. Okay.
That's correct. Become very friendly with them, let them know you, and see that you're professional. Be organized, have all your signs professionally done. None of those picket signs from Home Depot. Have everything laid out, with your picture. Show up professional, and they will trust you. They will trust you.
Awesome. So I know before we started our call, you also briefly mentioned that you have also sold land, right, to developers. So a question that we got, because a lot of people in the group, they also make cold calls, they drive around. So the question is, are most developers willing to have you as a listing agent if you brought them a tear down or a land deal?
It would be a small builders, because remember, or like a construction company, they allow, yes. So some builders that are having 2 or 3 houses built, if they haven't had any team approach them, yes, they would meet with you, see what kind of expertise you have in new construction or real estate, and you can pitch them to be their agent, and they have going on, if it's raw land, or they'll, that's the question, right? If they're willing to work with you. Yeah. Just stay connected and always watch out for new construction, and like, again, what the companies are doing, and connect with them. Yes. And I have sold land in my area.
So that's it for your quick sneak peek. If you want to have access to full trainings just like this one, make sure to jump on one of my programs. Just visit loidavelasquez.com.